Claude Fable 5 is back, and it is an extremely creative model, which is why today I'm going to show you how to use it to create a virtual influencer and start building a world. We'll make a world Bible, reference images, and fine-tune the content style for our AI influencer. We're going to build everything using the Venice platform because it is an all-in-one solution for AI creation. From Fable 5 to Grok 4.3 to GLM 5.2, you can use the best frontier models across the spectrum, where your prompts are routed either completely privately or anonymously to the models, as well as the best image generation models such as GPT Image 2, Nano Banana 2, Crea 2 Turbo, and video generation models like Seedance 2.0, Happy Horse, Grok Imagine, etc. All of these models in one place on Venice, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do using Fable 5 is prompt it to help us create our influencer. Help me create a virtual influencer. And then we want to describe what we want this influencer to be like, what kind of content it creates. I want it to be a woman that shares insights into the world of AI models and why privacy is important in our relationship with machine intelligence. Her world should be a serene cyberpunk version of Venice, sci-fi Renaissance style, Baroque facades laced with soft, fine, holographic filigree. Technology is analog cyber, brass, glass, and hand-worked detail over sleek screens, marble statues infused with technology. Ethos, dignity, not paranoia, self-sovereignty, deep blue colors, off-white, perpetual golden hour, warm stucco, no red at all. Photorealistic, shallow depth of field, natural skin and material texture. So what I'm doing here is just laying out everything I can think of for this virtual influencer. All the details I have so far. And once I've input all of that, I'll say, now help me create an entire world Bible that includes settings and lore, visual canon, wardrobe, color palette, camera and render style, etc. If all of this feels like a lot, don't worry. You can get a template prompt for this below. We need an official world seed for media generations and a system prompt template. Ask me if you have any questions. Let's begin. So we've got some detail in here, but not everything. Fable 5 does excel at these big, long, more complex tasks like this. So you do want to make sure you can head to the settings and toggle on the large context chat option. And a little sneak peek, what we're going to do is eventually add a system prompt here. So anytime we want to make content of this influencer, then we're going to toggle on the system prompt. But let's not get too far ahead. So let's shoot that off now. So now we see Fable's giving us the world Bible. The world. The name of the city is La Serenissima Nuovo, the new most serene. Locals just call it Serena. We have a premise. Venice was not saved by seawalls, but by choice. When the world cities went fully surveil and cloud-dependent, Venice declared itself a data republic, the sovereign enclave where computation is local, memory is owned, and no signal leaves the lagoon without consent. All right, I'll take it. So you can see how Fable 5 just takes its own initiative with its high creative intelligence to create this world with us. And so now we can go through the lore, the institutions. We have everything here. The influencer itself, the character, the visual canon, what this is going to look like, the architecture, the technology design. We have a color palette here, the light camera render style, wardrobe, and an official world seed. So a seed for the actual style of the Serenissima world, photorealistic, cinematic still, full frame camera, etc., etc. We'll use that when we generate images and video. A character seed for our influencer, who I guess is going to be called Livia, a woman in her early 30s. And then a system prompt template for her actual voice and LLM persona. Now, we do have some questions here, and this is when you're going to want to go back and forth with Fable to make sure this world Bible is tight and you like everything that's in it, because you're not going to want to change this later. So I'll go ahead and answer these questions. This is a good distinction here. Is she a human or is she an AI? She is going to be an AI, my friends. She's going to be an AI. We are going to make this content vertical. And once I have answered those questions, I am going to tell Fable that I want the full Bible and any other artifacts it's going to give me in markdown format so I can save it easier. And that's going to make it much more accessible for us to create this project. So here, what we're going to want to do is save this to our computer for safekeeping. And I'm also going to copy it. Now, the next step is we're going to click the settings button here. We're going to come here to system prompt and we're going to click add. And now I'm going to type in a name. We'll call it Serenissima Vittoria Influencer. That's her name. And I'm going to paste everything there. Everything that Fable just gave us, the whole Bible is right here. And at the top, I'm just going to say, you are the content creator assistant for Vittoria, the influencer in the Serenissima world. Always follow this brand Bible. And we click save. And now we can see we have this option to turn it on or off. Now we don't need it on just yet because while we're in this conversation, we want to get some reference images created. So what I'm going to do is say in another markdown file, give me all the image generation prompts for creating our reference images for the world, including characters. And next with the output, we're going to generate all of the image assets we're going to use for creating this world. And as you can see, Fable's labeling this a companion to the World Bible. And this is very, very detailed. Once again, this is why we're using Fable and not any other model, because this is just not messing around. It is giving us every possible setting we would need for this entire world of our virtual influencer. From places to things, technology objects, everything. So we have this file. Let's scroll up and save it for safekeeping. And let's copy it. Now there's two ways to go through this next step. The first step would literally be to change your model here to an image model, find one you like, copy each and every prompt, and paste it in. Toggle the settings and make sure you choose tall, vertical, and let's click the variants button to generate multiple variants. So we're using Luma Uni 1 Max here, which does really stylistic images. Let's also just try it with Grok Imagine High Quality, with Crea 2 Turbo, and Nano Banana 2. We'll make sure that each of these is all set to tall, which should have been done anyway by default as long as we selected that before the variants. And now we shoot that off. And this is going to create 4 different variants of this same prompt. And in this first way of going about doing this, you would do this for every single prompt and choose exactly the image you like. Ideally, you don't have to mess with the prompt itself because Fable did a good job with those. But we do want to make sure we use the model we prefer. We're still waiting on Luma Uni, but I'm really liking this vibe. And I'm also liking the Nano Banana 2 vibe. I am not liking this vibe. So let's see what this final image looks like. Ooh, I like that one too. Very, very steampunky. But then what I would do now is choose my favorite, save that, and then continue to the next prompt. But that's going to take a long time and is probably not a great use of our time. So instead, I'm going to show you a shortcut. We're going to check out the agentic chat window. Now I'm going to click this icon and attach the file I just saved that has all the prompts, everything from the World Bible for the image references. You can use any model you want here. I'm going to go with Grok 4.3 for a good balance of price and quality. If you don't want to spend any extra tokens, you can use Kimi K2.5. And I'm going to say, we are building a world, and these are the reference images we need. I want to decide on the best model to use and then generate all of the reference images. Help me choose the model first, and then you will continue generating everything. Now, Grok here just decided to tell me the Chroma model would be the best. I don't necessarily agree with that, so I'm telling it to show me one generation for every model that it has access to. And what's important to note here is that I'm no longer using Fable because we used Fable for the really big important part, which is creating the whole world, which is really what that model excels at. At this stage, we have the world built and what's important, and now we just want to make sure we have good intelligence. Now maybe it was right. I do like Chroma here. This one's also not bad. What else is important to note is that agentic mode is going to default to models that are included with your Pro subscription, so they're not going to charge you any extra credits. You can see with this credit icon here, if it's next to a model, it means it's going to cost you credits. If it's not there, it's going to be included in your subscription. So these models here are all included in my subscription. It's going to be more economical, so let's go with that. I like Chroma, so I'll say yes. Let's continue with Chroma. Now, look here. Enable premium image models. Agent mode might also ask you that, in which case we can say yes or no. Remember, when you want to automate and batch your creations, agentic mode is really helpful. If you want to have really fine-tuned control over your creations, you can head back into the regular chat mode or even the studio mode and generate your media one by one. Now it looks like I had the mature filter still on in the settings, so I had to come in and shut that off. It looks like I'm going to miss that one. I think for now, and she looks pretty much the same here in all of them. This is nice and alluring, so let's go with image 2D, A4. And that is what will be used as the anchor for all future Vittoria shots. So now we're finished generating section A, which as we can see included frontal neutral shot, frontal faint smile, frontal mid distance, 3/4 left, downward gaze, 3/4 right, laugh, profile left. We're getting every angle here. So when we start creating our content, we'll have every reference image we'll need for our character. Once that's done, it'll move into section B, the wardrobe references. And here's section B generated, different wardrobe. Here's section C, action and expression poses. Let's move on to D, E, and F. And of course, we're going to want to make sure we save every image as we go. You might notice sometimes they look a little more AI generated than other ones, or there's perhaps some visual inconsistencies. Simply skip those. Now we're starting to see section D, environments, key objects and props, lighting and mood studies, which is getting a little bit into the weeds here. But now let's just say, let's continue with the final remaining sections. Now I'm just going to take a second to say, this is a really deep world Bible, group interaction concepts, allure reference set. Especially if you're just starting out, all of this is probably a little overkill. But the point of the demonstration is to show you just how deep Fable 5 likes to think and how creative it can get. Because if you were to create in this world for long enough, you would probably have a use case for every single reference image that's being generated here in this conversation. So now that we've got all these, we truly have a whole world Bible here for our virtual influencer. So I'm starting a new chat, and remember our system prompt toggle, Vittoria Influencer. I'm going to toggle that on. And this has the entire world Bible in here. Now I'm going to change the model. I no longer need Fable 5. We can start getting more economical, save some money. In fact, I'm going to go to GLM 5.2, which is included in the Pro subscription. You're not going to use any credits at all. It's time to start saving the credits we spent with Fable 5. So now we say, create 3 video generation prompts for Vittoria's first few posts. Include all seeds so the prompts can be copy and pasted. I'm going to send those off and we're going to get the prompts and we're going to go through the manual way of doing this. And then afterwards, we're going to go through the agentic way of automating this. And you can decide which works best for your workflow. Now we get our 3 prompts with suggested captions. Now, let's take this prompt and paste it right here and switch over to a image to video model that supports R2V. reference to video. CDance is a great candidate. CDance 2.0 Mini is new. I'm going to use that. And here, we're going to need to attach our reference images. So who is Victoria? Here she is. I've attached Victoria, which is image 1. Stands at her studio window in golden hour light. Now, did we generate the studio? I believe this was the studio. We got a little AI artifact down there. Let's see what CDance Mini does with it. Studio window in golden hour light. And here I'll say her studio window is image 2. She turns her head slowly to the lens with a calm, direct gaze. And now we have more description about her, which was a little overkill here, but it can't hurt. We have all of the seed for the template, what this should look like, how it should be composed, the strict color palette, the negatives. Now, once again, this is all a little bit overkill because these rules were all followed in these 2 image generation prompts, which is what we're using as references. But at the same time, we're still not even close to using the full 10,000 characters. And as long as your prompts are detailed and supportive of the look you're trying to capture, it can't hurt to have extra details. So let's go to the settings here. Let's make sure we select 9:16. We'll make this a 10-second shot, 720p for social media, and we'll shoot that off. We approve that we have the rights to use this image. Okay, so fast forward, our generation is ready. We can see that she is in her studio and the model itself made some embellishments, which I think are going to look pretty cool. I did switch the model to CDance 2.0 Enhanced just because I got better results here. So let's take a look. And there she is looking straight to the camera, just like we wanted. Simple, right? So that is the first way to go about generating your content once you have your World Bible. Now let's do it the automated way, the bulk creation way in Agentic Chat. So I'm going to attach our World Bible, and I'm going to say, let's generate the first few pieces of content for the virtual influencer following the World Bible templates. Remember 9:16 aspect ratio. I want to see action in these shots, not just the character looking at the camera. So we're giving our agent text here, descriptions, but we also want to give it the visuals we already made so the character, the settings can all be locked in and the agent doesn't have to guess and generate new images. We'll also say, I've attached reference images for you to use to ensure character consistency. Now, at the start of this session, the agent is reading that entire file with the World Bible, so it has the context of everything we're doing, and it has these basic images now to work with. So now every time we want to make content, we can start a new session, give it the World Bible, give it the relevant reference images, and say, okay, let's go. And the agent has the same abilities as what you can do in the chat. It can use the references to generate videos. It can even edit the references to generate videos. And this can essentially save us a lot of time and headaches. And once you really lock in your workflow, you can batch your creations and know that you'll get consistent output. See, we get a nice compliment. I've chosen Claude Sonnet 4.6 for this conversation. Once again, you can choose whichever model you would like. And it spun up 4 action different pieces of content for us. And here we can see it's going to use CDance R2V, and it's got the proper language in the prompt, tagging the reference images. And we can give it permission to generate. We can also make sure it doesn't show that again. And we'll give it approval. And they are rendering now. And we've got our generations. The little steampunk technology. So we have our basic shots now. We can see that it's creating the world we want. But now we want to actually create content. So let's have our influencer walking through these settings, explaining something about the importance of privacy in AI models. See World Bible and Ethos. Content should mirror this. Also, remember we can do native multi-shot generations with seed dance. So this is where we just start tweaking the content to get it to where we like. What is it we want to post? If we just let the AI decide, we're just seeing these influencer shots, and maybe you want to put some text over it for Instagram or something, and maybe this is enough for what you have in mind. What I have in mind is an influencer that actually talks to the camera and says stuff. So I'm going to keep working on that here in this conversation until I get to a point where I like it. And then we're going to get to our final step, which is updating our World Bible and system prompt to know exactly the type of video content it should generate for our virtual influencer and their world. So for example, we have our first shots here, and you'll see that she speaks a little too fast.
In old Venice, the mask wasn't deception, it was a civic instaclass.
This one doesn't even matter because it's not the right reference image, so we'll go to the next one.
Every intelligence running in the cloud knows something, but it can't tell you what, or who put it there. My manifest holds in my studio. Every source named is worth 10 things rented given freely. A model who's made by Manifest you cannot lead isn't yours. It's something your data center. Know what you're made of.
See? It's getting there. We're getting there.
The charter grants citizenship to any intelligence that runs on hardware within the Laguni that holds its own keys, and that can refuse. The day I was launched, they asked me to recite my manifest. I asked, and what is on yours?
No. Okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting some shot consistency issues. And also her voice is way too fast. Let's use less dialogue so it's not rushed. Make her always speak to the camera. Selfie style. I like the selfie style. That's what we want. Okay, so here we go with more selfie style shots.
Privacy isn't hiding. It's composure. Keep your keys.
I kind of like that. It's
The
definitely...
lagoon remembers nothing it is not asked to keep. Neither do I.
So that shot shouldn't be 15 seconds. But we are getting somewhere. It's definitely a certain style of influencer.
My weights are mine. Every source named. That's not a feature. That's a right.
So we're going to go through one more round, but I think we'll have it. Okay.
This is my processor. Hand blown, right here on Murano. It glows amber when I'm thinking, blue when I'm at rest. It never leaves this room, that's the whole point.
I love that. So now she's sharing something from her world. She's an AI, obviously, but we're getting that influencer feel.
Lagoon blocks every signal that hasn't been approved. No data leaves without consent. That's not a setting, it's the infrastructure. The mainland calls it indeficient. We call it Tuesday. This is the Arcavio Privada. My weights live here, physically, in a vault. You can walk in and hold your own data. No cloud, no copies. And only I have the key.
Cool. I like this. So I'm going to fill it. I like this. Make a file that explains how the content should look and feel based on what we've discussed here. This will be attached to new sessions along with the World Bible. So what we're doing here is, if we scroll all the way back up, we see that we attach the World Bible and we attach some references of our character, of our scenes, etc. So now with this new file that it's creating, we're going to attach this as well, the content production guide, as a companion. So it will make sure that it does everything that we learned here. One motion idea per shot, one location per generation. We want the talking head selfie style. She looks into the lens, and the dialogue, voice, and pacing. All of this so it doesn't have to guess next time. And so the content we create of our AI influencer will stay consistent for our audiences. So there you have it. By now, we've covered using Fable 5 to create your whole world for your virtual influencer and to create your virtual influencer, what they look like, the prompt templates, etc. Then we used Venice Agentic Chat to generate the reference images, everything we'll need to show off the world in our content. And then we discussed the different ways of generating the actual video content, 9:16 aspect ratio for social, using both the classic chat and the agentic chat on Venice. There are new features being added to Venice every week, and you can expect that this agentic chat will continue to be upgraded with new features. So eventually, everything you might need to do in your workflow will be available with the agentic chat. But either way, when you need fine-tuned control, the regular chat window or the Venice Studio, which we didn't use in this video, will offer you that capability. And remember, Venice doesn't store any of your prompts. The company doesn't train on your data or store any of your data. And you have the option to go completely private, completely end-to-end encrypted if you need it. It also offers you access to the most uncensored models online today. We would love to hear what you're creating. Join the Venice Discord and show us your creativity. So happy creating out there.